It was an amazing game.
Was it?
Yes. It was. For Spain, are you kidding me?
Yeah, for Spain. I was going to say, just, generally speaking, how are we defining amazing game?
Amazing in that you don't let up a shot until the final 5 minutes of the second
hilarious.
extra time.
They were like, hang the banner, Argentina has one shot in the World Cup final.
I mean, and granted, given Argentina's potency for scoring late, they had some really good looks late, and it was really tense in that regard.
I think everyone watching that final thought, it was 0-0 all the way, late into the match, and I think a lot of people thought with all these missed chances for Spain, this has all the makings of Argentina's going to steal one in stoppage time and go on to victory.
I've never experienced a situation where the entire pressure is on the team that is a man up, and they only have 15 minutes to score to ensure that it doesn't go to a coin flip to decide who essentially wins the World Cup. That was just a remarkable set of circumstances. I think it was more stark watching the highlights back and literally seeing all of the opportunities. Argentina essentially had one prime scoring opportunity early in the game in the first 5 minutes when I think it was Messi almost had a breakaway and Unai Simon came out of his goal and essentially played super off his line but saved that attempt, and that was it.
Yeah, outrageously off his line. I'm thinking the same thing.
Yes.
As you're watching it. Spain won the World Cup. We need to give them their due and their credit.
Muchas gracias.
Can you just do the whole show in Spanish?
It's been a while since I've had to whip out Spanish on a regular, so
do you know how great that would be?
I can understand and translate. I can't speak it as regularly as I used to. When I used to live in Spain at some point, so I do have a
Can you give us the breakdown on you living in Spain?
Yeah, I went overseas. It was kind of a study abroad thing. I went over June of 2010 was my time in Spain. This jersey, actually, was one of the last jerseys sold without a star on it, because it was from that summer. Purchased in Madrid, same as this hat. I lived in a host family down in Cádiz on the beach, but we had an entire trip planned. Essentially, we flew into Madrid, Sevilla, Granada. I'm trying to remember the other place off the top of my head. But no, we visited 4 or 5 Spanish cities, then lived on the southern coast of Spain, essentially my entire time down there. It was one of my favorite experiences growing up through high school. It was great to experience another culture that deeply. Mm-hmm. And seeing them come alive every time a World Cup match on was fantastic. And again, you give yourself a little bit to that culture, it gives itself back. And I am an American. I'm not pretending like I'm sitting here with not wanting the U.S. men's national team to win. But had it been U.S. men's national team Spain, it would have been a very interesting situation. And good Lord knows the way that Spain has played in the World Cup over the last three cycles, it's been rough.
Yes.
Some very tough PKs. I mean, they mentioned it on the broadcast. They've gone to PKs 5 times in their history and won once in those scenarios. They lost to Morocco the last time out. So, this was, although it was pins and needles, it was nice to feel what they felt in 2010 and see and harken back to that imagery again.
I can't help but think about that 2010 team. And when you try to name some guys from that squad, you have to name multiple.
Yes.
It wasn't we've got Messi and then some dudes. It was just a team laden with, just an unbelievable midfield and defense, and then David Villa just went off. It was...
And he was not the one. Everyone thought it was going to be Fernando Torres because he had a great Euros. So
right, and so you look at this year's championship team, and Yamal obviously is a superpower, right, in his own right, 19 years old. But this team is so stacked with young talent, and I can't help but get carried away. Who's going to really contend with them outside of maybe France over the next 12 years? They're just so young and so good already. Unless they don't have a replacement lined up down the road for Rodri, but their midfield is...
And that's the thing. I think it's the biggest credit to how Spain played. When they subbed off Oyarzabal in the 61st minute, and they subbed off Dani Olmo, guys that are known figures and a huge part of their offensive engine, and they didn't lose a step.
They arguably got better. Throughout this whole tournament, they got better after their subs.
Yeah, Mikel
Moreno was the super sub all tournament long. They got better after that, which is speaks to the depth, for sure. But also, you just don't lose any because there's a system, man.
Yes.
You go to Spain and their youth development program is an absolute. It's a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And now you've got multiple teenagers starting in a World Cup final against Argentina, and you don't lose anything when you bring guys out. Who's going to stop this? It just seems like it's a feeder system. And I say who's going to stop this because they're winning everything. They won Euros 2 years ago with Yamal at, what was he, 16, 17?
And their defense was not as good as it was.
And
in
it
this
wasn't
scenario.
right.
Yeah.
And it was better this go around. And okay, maybe things might be different in 2 to 4 years. Guys are going to get older, and who you can never be sure of who's going to replace who. But Nico Williams wasn't fit for pretty much this whole tournament.
Yeah.
And a fully fit Nico with Yamal.
Oh my good. Well, he was a different.
Might have
maker
just
coming
made
in.
this they might have not conceded a single goal.
Yeah.
But they conceded one.
But seriously, like his header, I think is emblematic of what that team is. A lot of people head that, try and get it on net because they see Martinez crashing in and maybe they get it at a sharp angle. He's thinking, get it back, get it to someone who can blast it. And it found the right foot, the left foot technically, but still it found the right person in that mantra. It's arguably their biggest weakness in that they pass too much, but the fact that they pass to each other and find the open guy and find the right play is why they're sitting there hoisting the World Cup at the end of the day.
Cucurella is only 27, so that'll allow him another 10 to 12 years worth, and then Joni, your son, can replace him on the midfield. Is that how it's going to work out?
Can we cue up VO12 Spain hair for those who are
harkening
not
back to one of the great heads of hair ever.
All right, yeah. I mean, I remember watching Carlos Puyol when I was younger. I'm like, this dude is an absolute beast, and I didn't know if he got the power from his hair, and then Erling Haaland just goes, every time Erling Haaland talks about his hair, he's like, there's power in the hair.
Yes.
And then you watch Marc Cucurella for Spain just kind of dominate on the back end there.
Like a Tasmanian devil back there. He's
seriously,
awesome.
but if you're a fan of Spain, who's got the better flow?
I mean, listen, as much as I love Cucurella,
Cucurella's got the bounce, but Puyol's got the flow.
But I still think
look at how high that is in that picture.
Yeah, but I still think of Puyol's head flinging in the header against Germany in the semifinal in 2010, and it's just a glorious shot. So, to me, Puyol's still up there, but
that's what's funny is I think about that 2010 team, and Carlos Puyol is usually the name that comes to my mind first, and he's a defenseman.
Yeah.
That's not traditional,
right?
When you think about soccer.
Well, I mean,
soccer legacy teams.
Rodri won the Golden Ball. I don't think a lot of people had that on their list heading into it, but I think at the end of this match, at the end of the final, it became evident that he was emblematic of this team. It's like giving, to some degree, and this is a little bit of an overstatement, but like when Malcolm Smith won Super Bowl MVP, it's like, well, we got to give someone from the winning team the MVP, and who's more emblematic than, Rodri for that defense and how they controlled
the best midfielder for the best midfielder in the tournament.
Yes.
It was the part of the game for Spain that won them the entire tournament.
Yeah.
They dictated the midfield, they dominated possession, and their whole thing is, if we have the ball, you don't, it means you can't score.
Yeah.
And all we need is just one opportunity to put one in, and then we're going to just suck the life out of the match. They did that throughout the entire tournament. They did that in 2010, and they did it to Argentina. And every time Argentina got the ball, it just looked like a matter of time until they were dispossessed. They had turnovers. They looked tactically unsound, and I think a lot of that led to their undoing, not just physically, but mentally. They started to lose it a little bit because playing Spain is frustrating. It's a style of play that it forces you to be so fundamentally sound and not to make the mistakes and give them extra opportunities. But Argentina did that. They just kept making mistake after mistake. They tried to establish physical dominance like this is 80s NFL. Just play soccer, man. And it just became a point where when Enzo got the second yellow and got booted off and they went down to 10, they were playing for penalty kicks.
What a reckless play.
It was.
It was stupid.
It was. And a lot of it was stupid. I mean, it was not, I wouldn't say classless, but it just felt like they were trying to kind of lower the bar of the game. And it's like, this is the World Cup final. It just felt like they were not meeting the moment in terms of class.
But Mike, I'm sure you can speak to this, especially from watching American football. It's like when there's a difference in skill level, when there's a difference and it's noticeable, a lot of times fouls are committed because they physically can't keep up. And I realize to some degree you're trying to
muddy
impose.
up the game.
Yeah, and it sometimes it might not even be intentional, but it's like, I can't do anything. I'm just late to the ball and I'm tackling.
It's frustration.
Yeah.
It is.
We saw plenty of people do that to Messi all the way through this tournament. you get out of position on him because of his brilliance, and all you have left to do is commit a foul, because otherwise you're going to get completely roasted for a goal, and it's a smart play to take the foul. We see this in every sport, and it's just part of it, and it speaks to the brilliance of Spain that Argentina, whether consciously or subconsciously, felt that they needed to do that, at least in some circumstances throughout this match, because that's how good Spain was. That's how elite they were at controlling the tempo of this game, controlling the ball itself, and just they drag you into the deep end and ask you if you can swim. And most people can't swim for as long as they ask you to.
Yeah. Well, I think we should at least bring up the Messi part of it now, because I think coming into this, a lot of people thought at least Golden Ball. He'd won a Golden Ball in a losing effort in 2014. And again, credit to Rodri because he is emblematic of that team. But given Messi's performance at 39 years old in this tournament, effectively cementing himself and his status moving forward, win or not, it does beg the question, was this the last time he walks off the pitch or not? In an international match of this magnitude, I think is the best way to put it.
I think if they won, I don't think there would be any question, right? It would be the perfect ride-off into the sunset, back-to-back World Cup titles for the first time since '62.
Yeah.
And, that was part of the Pelé era for Brazil when they won back-to-back, even though Pelé didn't even play in the knockouts in '62. But for Messi, there were questions about him even playing in this one.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to take somebody's spot that deserved it, which is so hilarious, passive-aggressive. It's not passive-aggressive. It's just passive. And it's like, dude, you're the best ever. Is it
false modesty?
Yeah, like
maybe false modesty, but I'm sure there's real concern because
it's like Michael Jordan not wanting to play for the Dream Team because
let's
just give the spot to somebody else.
He also did injure himself in Copa. Like that was a thing a couple of years back, and at the same token, he's been playing in Inter Miami, which is not where. Up to the level internationally, and I think a lot of people thought. And a lot of people had questions about him coming into this tournament. He answered every one.
Yeah, oh yeah. He extinguished any question, any concern. And I do look at it as this, across all sports, we are seeing more and more guys play into their 40s.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, LeBron, there's a long list of guys now, whereas 20 years ago it was harder. But with the advancements in terms of being able to take care of their body and recovery, guys are able to play longer, and they're able to play at a high level longer. And Messi, so much of his game is not just, I'm going to, beat you athletically. Maybe when he was younger, when he was 19, I'm just going to sprint by you. I'm going to be a blur. But now he's so cerebral. He's walking half of it because he's finding the space. He's 10 steps ahead on the chessboard. So he doesn't need to overexert himself. So if that's the case, and he plays like he did in this one, what is 4 years' time going to do to his body?
Right.
Is it going to set him back like he's going to be unplayable? Is he going to have to be a bench player? I don't think that would be the Messi we want to see. Just kind of
by that
glorified mascot on the bench.
By that same token, though, that's essentially what Ronaldo was for Portugal. And granted, and I'm trying to be fair in this because he is one of the greatest players to ever play, but Portugal was noticeably better with him off the pitch. And I think to some degree he should have accepted that bench role a little bit more. And they might have actually had more scoring opportunities against Spain when they did play in the knockout stage.
But contrastly, Argentina absolutely needed Messi
exactly
on the pitch
exactly
in all moments. All of their heroics were spawned from Messi for the vast majority of this tournament, even just the semifinal.
I bring up Ronaldo not for the Messi-Ronaldo part of it, but also because Ronaldo's 41. He's already crested the 40-year-old.
He's hit the 40-year, right. So I do wonder what is...
Messi would be 43.
He would be 43, right. And I look at the rest of the Argentina team, and I'm like, who's going to be that leader? Who's going to be that goal scorer? Who's going to be that leader? Who's going to be that captain force? I just don't see anyone on that roster that can take that title yet. Definitively.
Right.
You could throw some names out, maybe, but definitively no. And so I do wonder, what is his level of fitness going to be in 4 years? Does he even want to do it? That means he has to keep playing for 4 more years?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's in his plans. I think we've talked about this, for many years. You don't always get to pick when you go out. Brady did not go out a champion. That's very.
He probably should have.
He should have, but
some other aspects of his life might still be in place had he done so.
That's the sicko competitor in these guys,
right?
You don't always get to decide that.
Yeah.
There are reasons for him to want to.
Yes.
One, just getting this close to another World Cup title and coming up short, the obvious. Certainly the goal-scoring record, though outpacing Mbappe is going to be incredibly difficult to do given how much younger Mbappe is than him.
Good luck.
But then the other factor, fair. But the other factor in this that just like as such an important piece of the history of the game, why wouldn't he want to be a part of the 100th anniversary celebration of the World Cup in 2030? They're going to have a game in Argentina as part of that celebration, even though the majority of the tournament is going to be in Spain and Portugal. They are going to have at least one game in Argentina, one match in Argentina as part of that centennial celebration. So there are a lot of hooks that, like, all right, can I make it for, like, I got to imagine he at least makes the attempt starting today, and who knows, maybe 2 years down the road he goes, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm not going to be able to hack it. I can't make it 2 more years. But if you're him, why not at least try? If you're playing as well as he did over the course of the last month and a half, why not give it one more shot?
Yeah, if there was regression, any regression, right. I would understand it. He was the best player of the tournament. You can argue.
Yeah.
I mean, just his singular impact for a team that went to the World Cup final. He made it happen, man. He had 8 goals, 4 assists, key moments, massive moments. They don't get there without him.
Right.
They don't even get close. This team, I mean, they really probably don't get close without him.
I don't dispute that. I just think it adds to Spain's lore coming out of this because for the majority of that match, he was invisible. Like, it was tough to see where he was.
That's the possession. I mean, you look at the possession numbers, it was disgusting. It was the most Spain match.
Yes.
Like, if you're going to ever show someone a match like, this is Spain football, that was Spain football. We are going to beat you 1-0. You're going to have maybe a shot. We're going to have like 95% possession. And we're going to make it so insufferable to play us because we are just going to dominate the ball.
I just have a request. It's like the next time Spain win the World Cup, which hopefully doesn't take another 16 years, but who knows?
Could you imagine if it's in 4 and they do it in Spain?
It'd be really cool. I'm just saying, like, knowing how the World Cup functions, I very much doubt that back-to-back is legitimate reality just because of how crazy it can get.
Very hard to do.
That said, I'm tired of these extra time wins within the 100+ minute. Please just score in regulation. Take some stress out because I harken back quick to 2010. It was almost beat for beat the same final, just with a little bit more physicality from Argentina on that side of it. But Netherlands, like in that 2010 final, there was a famous picture of I forget who kicked. But Xabi Alonso got kicked in the chest in that one, and that was a red card in that match as well. So, like, up a man, extra time, late winner, stop this. Like, you're dominating play, win the game.
I do love that Argentina and Spain gave us some of the most thrilling wins of the tournament.
Yes.
And that it only felt natural for them to, meet in the final and it sort of come down to a late second half winner. And I look ahead now.
Emiliano Martinez also kind of stole a heck of a moment from us. That free kick from Yamal was awesome.
That would have been an all-time ender. It would have been all-time. It was a great shot, but it was great placement.
Right. And I think about this, and it's Yamal statistically, you're going to look at that and be like, he didn't have a great World Cup. But if you watch how they defend him,
yes,
with the shadow coverage, I mean, you have to account for him for 90+ minutes, and that's just not even including the free kicks. He should have had probably 6 goals in this tournament. He was not at his best when it came to shots on target.
And
that's
right.
No question about that. But what he opens up for them on that final third is just, there's only a handful of players in the entire world that can create that.
And again, like there's always that comp of, sure, he doesn't get on the goal scoring sheet, but if you watch that game, you certainly watch back the highlights, winning possession, a potential assist, like he's putting the ball in play in dangerous situations constantly.
When he split that double team and crossed it in on his right foot, which still, I think if he can rely on that right foot a little bit more, because I think he is a little bit a little bit too predictable as he gets into the box, but if he develops that right foot even further, I mean, he's got all of it.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Two things with Yamal real quick. One, in the juxtaposition against the chaos from Argentina picking fights afterward, there was a really nice beat, if we can call up, I think it was VO9 here, Zeke. This is Yamal walking over to Messi, who was on the turf afterward, just as a moment of good sportsmanship in a situation that was very hostile immediately afterward. The fact that these two still found time to have a moment on the pitch, given all the pomp and circumstance around the two of them, the picture that was taken that went viral multiple times throughout this World Cup, that this is what I'm sure a lot of people are kind of considering a potential passing of the torch. It's nice that this moment exists. That's the only reason why I bring it up.
I think we all wanted that, right? And, listen, we can project what Yamal's career might be 20 years from now. It might be a Messi-type career. We don't know that.
Yeah.
But right now, he is that LeBron in 2003 that just feels like he's going to take the torch of the game. And to have that kind of torch pass moment there with the hug, the sportsmanship, the class shown between both guys, I think they both understand kind of what they mean to the game, which is cool because one's 39 and one's 19. And I hope Yamal kind of always stays that way, because the sport has a way of humbling you if you don't. But I agree. I'm so glad that we have a photo of them hugging after a World Cup final, because I think we will look back on that image. I think we're actually taking it for granted even now. We might look back on that image in 20 years and be like, that is cool as heck.
Yeah.
That we have that. So
well, you mentioned LeBron. It makes like the next logical thought is MJ, and this is not how the NBA works. This doesn't really feel like it would have been plausible or realistic, but can you imagine if we had that moment with LeBron's Cavs beating Michael's Wizards in the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that, and then you had I know. That's why I'm saying this is not how the That's why I say this is not how the NBA works.
Right.
These guys are on national teams where the roster build is just a little different than an NBA roster. You're not coming in as a rookie as a number one pick to a team that would have any prayer of being in that space. No matter what everybody said about Cooper Flagg this time last year. But just like that's the comp. That feels like the natural. Like if we had that kind of moment, if somehow LeBron's Cavs beat whatever, MJ's hypothetically you went to the Lakers instead of the Wizards or whatever, and like it was actually got a team that could win. Like that kind of imagery is what we're talking about. That's the importance of this. That's the at least potential importance of this. And to your point, Jonah, we don't know what Yamal's career is actually going to play out to be, but it has that kind of potential.
I do like that this era of GOAT, let's say, because it is Brady, LeBron. I throw Phelps in there because he was the longest of the Olympians that went 5 cycles.
Yes, we know you would throw Phelps.
I'm just saying, like, these guys have
we agree, but we know
these guys have performed against people they inspired.
Yes.
And that's the cool part of it, is like LeBron is literally playing with his kid. So like by all accounts, they are playing with a generation and they can physically see their impact on the sport in real time. And granted, do they want to always come out on top? Absolutely. But like, not everyone gets the Brady Mahomes combat. You know what I mean? Not everyone gets to kind of put the other generation in their place.
Well, Yamal just turned 19, a week ago?
Yeah.
He turned 19. At 19 years old, he's now won a World Cup and Euros in the span of 2 years.
Not bad.
Like his resume is already better than Cristiano Ronaldo's.
Well, Shakira is already rivaling Messi in World Cup final appearances.
Listen, you know what?
Jonah, that was cold.
Well, it's true.
Someone said I Show Speed's shown up in a World Cup final more recently than Ronaldo. So, like, by that point, you can surpass your idols.
See,
if you try hard
that's low-hanging fruit. We do have to get to a break, but we got a few more World Cup things to get to. Let's just get to them after this break. The Ultimate Dallas Sports Show returns after this.
Hey guys, Director Kelly here. Not on the show today, obviously, but I really would have broken Jonah and Michelle's heart if I hadn't dropped in for one more Elfie update to see how we wrapped things up after the final games over the weekend. So unfortunately, Elfie laid a big old goose egg over the weekend with the games. She went 0 for 2 or 0 for 1 and 0 for 1, however you want to split it up. But she had picked France, she had picked Argentina, and yeah, about that. And then as far as the, so for the game, she ended with a 23 of 32 overall for a 72% success rate. And then she also went ahead and made picks for the Golden Ball, Golden Boot, and Golden Glove races. And she went 2 for 3 on those, only getting the Golden Ball wrong. So if we added everything together, she went 25 of 35 for another 72% success rate, which I actually think is pretty good overall. So let's cut her some slack. And I wonder if this is the end of Elfie as we know it, or if we'll see her in 2 years for the Women's World Cup. Anyway, Director Kelly out. Oh, wait. We need to hear from Tattoo one more time.
I don't like that dog either.
Thank you for the final time in 2026.
The slide into the frame like she's Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football was a nice touch.
For the final time in 2026, Tattoo hit that one more time. Thank you.
Women's World Cup is next year, right?
It is next year. She did mention she got that
27.
wrong. Yes. So slight factual incorrection. She's also batting 72%, so it's okay.
So Elfie's only got to survive one more year to be able to do this for the Women's World Cup.
Listen,
Michelle's going to come hunting for her, but
I'm devastated the World Cup's over. I'm thrilled that I don't have to hear what Elfie thinks for the next 365 days. All right.
The music did add a little something to it.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's button this thing up with a couple of fun things that we saw from the World Cup. Yeah, we spoke a lot about Lamine Yamal and just his talent and how he might be taking the baton from Messi for the next 20 years. If that is the case, I'm so excited because that means we get to see more of his little brother.
Yes,
who is absolutely stealing the show. Perhaps the MVP of the World Cup.
certainly the mascot.
Oh my gosh! Every time they cut to him, the broadcast would cut to a shot to him in the stands. He's always like going crazy and sticking his tongue out, and just seems to just be loving life.
Look at the face.
He's just
so
he
good.
just seems like a really happy kid. And it's just really fun to see that kind of juxtaposed to this kid who's got so much expectation on him, continue to perform at a very high level, but like you've got one of the game's biggest stars, brightest, youngest stars, juxtaposed with this kid who's just playful and happy. I do wonder how that grounding force.
Yeah.
How good is that for Yamal, right? Like you can be on a bit of an island when you're that big of a star and that talented, but if you got a little brother that's keeping you silly and fun and maybe in the moment the way children are to parents.
Yeah.
I do wonder if there's a benefit to that, and it may be that keeps him kind of present, so to speak.
Speaking of grounding forces, though, most of the world was rooting against Argentina, as we found out midway through this game, including, if we can pull up VO4, a certain Mexican fan in the stands taunting everybody in an Argentina jersey in his section, celebrating the red card in specific and telling everyone to get out. This is awesome. And later on, he actually unveils that he has a Spain jersey underneath. But this is the classic taunting that you want in the stands, just having fun, nothing malicious. And it's also great when you're on the right side of it. Look at that dance. I had to mute the audio because it was pretty
There's definitely no chance of us being able to use the audio.
No.
Nope,
That
doesn't work.
He's taking out. There's the Yamal.
Yeah, there you go. Celebrating like crazy. Because that was as close to an Argentinian home game in terms of crowd as you could get.
Yeah.
So in that kind of hostile environment, kudos for Spain for performing, but kudos to the Mexican fan for hopping on the right side of history.
He pops out the red card. I thought he was going to pop out something else and flash him something else. But I'm glad it was a red card and not a digit.